Hello, welcome to another episode of Careers and Coffee. Today it's Wednesday, the 19th of January 2022, and I'm delighted to welcome Chey Bloomfield. Chey is an insurance consultant who has very recently qualified. So, welcome, Chey.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, hi, lovely to see you. How are you?
Not too bad. How are you?
Tickety boo, thanks, tickety boo. It's Careers and Coffee. Do you have a drink? That's the big important thing.
Yes, I do. I've got my water in my very fancy water bottle. That
Flamingos.
Yes, and it says "Born to Stand Out," so I feel like that was uh
That's excellent. Oh, that's really good. Well, welcome today, and thank you so much for joining us. So, you're an insurance consultant, and one of the things that struck me when we first met was when you told me about what you did, and I said, "Why did you want to be an insurance consultant?" And your answer was, "Because I like helping people," and that was such a refreshing perspective. And it's something that I'd like to talk about a bit more. But first of all, as an insurance consultant, for those watching, would you like to tell us about what an average, if there is such a thing as an average day, looks like working in your office?
so what I do at the moment is the general insurance side, which is household insurance, landlord insurance, and the commercial aspect. So that will be like your pubs, shops, and just the general side of it. So my day to day is quoting for existing and new customers on their insurance, making sure that they've got the right cover for anything that they may need, and also sort of just answering any questions or anything that they may have. I do sort of do a little bit of life, but I do the behinds on the life because unfortunately I'm not an advisor, so I can't advise anyone on life, but I do the behind the scenes on it. So yeah, I basically just do the home and commercial side at the moment.
Okay. And in terms of actually saying that you said you like helping people, and as somebody who has recently had to make a claim on her insurance after a small fire, I sort of recognise the need for actually having somebody around who really knows their stuff. But becoming an insurance consultant isn't necessary. There's not a one route fits all. You've gone dark, by the way. It's gone dark, and a one route fits all. And tell us a little bit about going back to when you were at school, which isn't so very far ago, about what your plans were when you were at school and what was the route that actually led you to working in insurance, because it wasn't your original plan, was it? Ooh, we have a frozen screen. Chey, are you with us? Oh, looks like we've got a bit of a technical difficulty. So what a shame. So I was just asking Chey about her route into the world of insurance, because I know it was quite an unusual one. Chey's 21 and she's really recently qualified. She started off uh, going into it via an unusual route insofar as that she did an apprenticeship. And then after the apprenticeship, she took her professional qualifications. Hopefully, we'll be able to bring Chey back in because her story is quite an interesting one. Oh,
I'm so
we
sorry.
lost you. The
No
joys of
one.
live entertainment.
I'm so sorry. I wasn't
That's really,
expecting that.
it's
My
great. Your room suddenly went dark and then
Yeah,
suddenly you were frozen. But you're back
the
with us.
the electric went out, which is typical, isn't it? Of course, that would
Oh,
have to happen, which then means my Wi-Fi may pop out a bit because I connected to my phone to quickly get it on. So I may then switch back to my internet.
okay.
Um,
Very
so
resourceful.
I should be
Super.
fine.
Okay, I was just in the process of actually saying to you that your original plan when you were at school wasn't actually insurance, was it? So, can I take you back to the sort of 15-year-old Chey and what you actually planned to do when you were going to leave school?
So, oh, 15. I would have been Yeah,
Year
so
10,
that,
11.
yeah, sorry, I was trying to figure out because I was born in 2000, so it's very easy to figure out when I was actually 15. Um, so yeah, obviously that was very much a big pressure point because I was one going through my GCSEs and two, everyone was very much saying you have to figure out what you want to do now because you're going to be doing it for the rest of your life. And obviously I was like, I have no idea what I want to do. I don't really know what I'm good at. I don't really know what I want to achieve in life at that moment. Um, all I did know was that I wanted to be in an office. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't want to be outside in the wet or the cold or in the heat in the summer. I wanted to be in an office. I very much felt I was office material. So I sort of thought about jobs that were in an office, but again, there wasn't a lot of people that were like very helpful on that, like what I could possibly do. They were very much, you have to get good grades to even be considered to be a part of a job, basically. So I thought, okay, well, I'll get my grades first, because that's when they brought out you have to be in education until you're 18. So I had to be in like some form of education until I was 18. And they very much forced sixth form on me. They didn't give me any sort of advice on apprenticeships or anything like that. They were very much like sixth
Academic
form,
route.
go to sixth form basically. So I was like, okay, that I'll go to sixth form and then figure it out from there. So I went to Lowestoft and did performing arts and media, because that's when I figured out I sort of wanted to be an accountant. Um, and when figured that out, I was in foundation maths and I was like, okay, I can only get a C in foundation maths. I need to get more than a C. So I need to get out of foundation maths. And I said to my teachers, I was like, what do I have to do to get out of foundation maths? They were like, you need to be one of the highest, because you did like a mock test a year before in year 10.
Mm.
So that's when I started asking, and they were like, you need to get a C, but a very high C. You need to basically prove to us that you can do higher maths. So I was like, okay, oh God, how am I going to do this? Because I wasn't academically inclined at all. But I basically worked my absolute little bottom off. I did everything in my power to understand the whole lot of maths. And I ended up being the highest mark in my whole year for foundation maths. And I said to them, I was like, I think it
Shows
was
what hard
something like,
work can do.
yeah, I think I got something like 90 out of 100. And I was literally shocked. I was like, oh my God, I did it. I was like, and I almost started crying. I was so overwhelmed with happiness that I actually achieved something that I wanted. And I was like, if I can put my brain to it, I can apparently do anything. So I was so happy with that. And obviously I said to them, I said, I've done it. Can I be in higher maths now? And they were like, well, yeah, you can. So I did that and again worked my absolute butt off, but only got a high C, which was a 5, or a B. I'm not quite sure what they've done it at. And when I then went to Lowestoft and said I want to do maths to be an accountant, they said that I can't because I haven't got a high enough grade. I was like,
So you
okay,
ended up going performing arts and media. And
yeah.
then from there, what happened after that?
I went to City College and completely changed what I wanted to do and thought I'll be a manager at a restaurant in the near future. So I did hospitality and catering, um, and absolutely hated it. I didn't like it at all, but I
Wasn't
thought
you?
I'll have some form of qualification at the end. So if I just continue with this year, do it, I'll then have a qualification at the end of it. So say if something did happen in the near future, I have that to fall back on if I did want to go back into catering. So I got a pass in level 2 hospitality and catering. So I have that behind me should I ever want to go back to it. However, there was a careers day at City College that had quite a lot of like businesses and stuff just saying, this is what we do, this is what we offer to students. And there was Alan Boswell, who
All right.
who is an insurance broker in Norwich. And they had apprenticeships going on for insurance consultants. And so I was like, oh, that's a thing. And they were like, yeah, that you can apply and you may be able to have an apprenticeship in insurance. And I was like, okay, so what grades do you need? And they were like, a C. You just need a C in English and maths, and that's all we consider. And I was like, well, I've got that, so surely that's fine. And they were like, well, yeah, just go and apply online, and if you've got luck, then we'll consider you.
So before
So
at
I
that
did.
point, had you been aware that apprenticeships existed in these kind of roles?
I knew that they existed, but I didn't know that they existed in anything else other than construction and like social care and things like that. I
Didn't
didn't
realise they were
know.
for office work.
No. I thought they were for like bricklaying, plastering, the general
Trade.
mechanics, things like that. I didn't know, and obviously I never wanted to do that, so I didn't look any further into it. Um,
It's a
so that
tremendous
was the.
misconception, I think, really,
It
that
is.
people
It
don't
very much
realise.
is.
Yeah,
Yeah. If
that
you don't
there's so
have
much choice.
if no one tells you about it, then you very much don't have the answer or anything. You don't have the understanding of it. So when I saw that, that's when I sort of thought about apprenticeships in that. And I was like, this gives me a career in something that I could possibly like. So I went and applied to Alan Boswell and I didn't get the job. But then I thought, if they're offering it, who else is? So that's when I went on Indeed and the YouGov apprenticeship sites and basically just researched the whole lot and was like, if anyone's offering it, and just applied to a load of them. I was just like going for it. And that's when my place currently that I'm at now offered me an interview. And so I literally went straight into it and luckily got the job. And I was so excited and so happy that I'd finally got something that I was quite pleased with. And I was just about to turn 19. So they needed me in before I was 19 and on the roll before I was 19. So then so they could get the funding for it. So I think that's probably why I got in quite quickly, and I was quite pleased with that. Um, so I got what I wanted basically, and I was quite pleased with that. Um, but it was also quite nice to have a very small company to go into rather than a large one, because it is very much a family environment where I work at the moment, and it's lovely. You have all the support that you need, and it is just nice to be with a smaller company
And
because
where is
no
your
one.
company now?
So it's XL Mortgage Services in Long Stratton. They
Shout out
obviously
for the
they
support.
Yeah, they do. Mortgages, would definitely recommend. Very good at mortgages. Lovely people. But I am the only one that does the insurance. So my boss and the other two mortgage advisors, they only do the mortgage and life insurance, and I then take the insurance, the general insurance off them and do that for them. So
I must admit, I have to say, I can reiterate what you say about the company, because when I saw your when you qualified on LinkedIn, the support from your colleagues was really lovely. So that's really nice to see that your hard work is really paying off and is appreciated by those you work with, which is great. And as somebody who works in insurance, and it's probably not the most usual role for somebody who is young. Um, Oh, I've got somebody asking a question. I'll interrupt myself here. What do you think taking all these different courses before settling on insurance has given you? That's a really good question. So, what do you think in terms
is
of
that
actually not going straight into insurance, but taking these other courses initially? What do you think that's actually given you?
I completely missed that. You froze. Sorry, I thought it was me.
Oh, yes, I just moved just now because I was just checking that everything was switched on, hence my rummaging around, because suddenly I noticed my screen froze. So it's obviously a day for technical issues, so that's really good.
I'm glad it's not just me.
No, it seems to be happening. It tells me I've got really good internet, but obviously it just went a little bit pear-shaped for a second. So yes, we've got a question from a viewer that says, what do you think taking all these different courses before going into insurance has actually given you in terms of anything really? You know, what do you think it actually gave you to sort
So
of look at?
I definitely, the performing arts gave me a lot more confidence to be out of my shell a bit more. Um, when was in year nine, that's when they gave you a lot of pressure on your GCSEs and everything like that. And that's when I developed really, really bad anxiety, which then led on to me, unfortunately, getting IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome, and it's not a very flattering thing. But that then turned into a very vicious cycle where when I got anxious, it would then flare up, which would then make me more anxious, which would then cause, and it just kept going on like that. And it was horrendous. And I didn't want to go in anywhere. And I sort of tried to keep it under control, but I would still have very, very bad anxiety. And it got to the point where I then wouldn't go out anywhere and I wouldn't leave my house basically. I just couldn't. I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to go anywhere. So I sort of took the decision to do performing arts to basically put myself in the deep end and be like, I'll just hopefully figure out if I can actually get up in front of anyone and do anything, because I was very conscious on what people thought of me, and it then obviously gave me really bad anxiety. Just the whole situation of being out in public, I hated it. So I then sort of started to develop a lot more in performing arts, and I was around people that understood me, and I was around people that like cared and were sort of in the same predicament as me, really, sort of just went into it to help them out. And so it brought me out of my shell a lot more, and I would say that definitely helped to become the person I am today, because now I'm not really that bothered on what people think of me, whether it be that I've done something that they don't think is acceptable or whatever. I do wear quite loud clothing because I like it. I like colourful clothing. I like people to see me, and I'm very comfortable in what I wear. And I don't think I would be like that if I didn't take performing arts.
So
Media,
performing arts has helped you to kind of become and own who you are.
yeah, very much so. Very much so. Media gave me, I would say, quite a lot of technical experience, because it was very much on computers. And obviously, I was producing films and things like that. So it gave me a lot of technical experience. And again, I was in front of the camera quite a lot as well. I had to do like reporting and things like that. So again, it built my confidence up a lot more. I had to work within a team, maybe with people that I wasn't so happy working with, which very much brought on my teamwork. So I'd say, although I didn't enjoy it, it did help me a lot to become who I am today. The hospitality, again, you have to work in a team, particularly with people that you're not so pleased with. You do express a lot more emotions when you're in hospitality because it's such a stressful job. And especially when you do something wrong, that you may not have done. If you are very stressed and very flustered, you could make mistakes very easily. So it's very quick thinking. You've got to get out, you've got to do it, you've got to know what you're doing. So that very much helped a lot with quick thinking, common sense, talking to different people every single day, and just generally being out there and having to communicate with people, which is a big thing. Communication is massive in anything that you do. So
That's
that
really
helped
good.
me a
And
lot.
it sounds as well like these different experiences actually help to build your resilience, which is, I think, when there was a survey done on the top 5 most wanted skills from an employer, communication, which you just mentioned, was one, and resilience was another. And in fact, we've got another question which says, I'm conscious we're running out of time, which skills do you think you need to work in insurance? And you've mentioned communication.
Yeah, so communication is a massive one. I think for any job that you go into, I don't think it has to be specifically for insurance, but I think I wouldn't even say a common knowledge because I didn't have a common knowledge of insurance when I went in. I mean, I was only 19. I knew about car insurance. Um, but I would say skills. I'd
You've
say a
mentioned communication and teamwork. Do you think they're the
teamwork
most important
definitely.
ones?
Teamwork, communication, being able to talk to people on the phone, on email, face to face, like having the confidence to do that. And being able to multitask is a big one as well, because you will be talking to people as well as writing down what they're saying, as well as on the computer looking at things, answering any questions they may have, trying to find things, and being quite quick as well. Because at the end of the day, if they ask you a question and you haven't got that answer right in front of you because you need to read through the policy wording, you need to be able to find where that is quite quickly. So I'd say be relatively quick, but again, that just comes with experience. That's not something you would definitely need. But communication, teamwork, being able to communicate anywhere, basically.
We've got another quick question because I'm conscious we are definitely running out of time. But it says, did you do the C11? Is that C2?
CII.
CII. Oh, it is. That's me trying to read what it says. Diploma qualification. If so, how did you find it? And did your employer support you along the way? Well, I know the answer to the last one, but far away.
I didn't do the diploma. I'm thinking of doing it. I did research it. I don't know how well I'll get on with it, but I do sort of want to do it. I did the certificate, so the cert CII. I found that one. I would say it was okay, but again, it was a struggle. The first test that I did was a very general one, which is what everyone does, and that was fine. But when I did the second one, I did fail that the first time because I wasn't expecting it to be so in depth. But then once I figured out that it was so in depth and did it, I then passed the second and the third one. But because obviously I did then end up doing the apprenticeship, I had to do the portfolio, which was the worst bit of it all, I would say, because that was written and I had to do an interview. So there was a lot to the whole thing.
I
But
should add, I
yeah,
hope you don't mind me, but sharing in terms of the thing you said you mentioned you had a difficulty at school and in terms of your dyslexia, but clearly you have not allowed that to stand in your way to achieve qualifications, doing a lot of writing. So, I think how did you manage to not let that get in your way, because there'll be people on the call here who worry about their dyslexia and worry it's going to hold them up. And I know that we've got family members who've got dyslexia, and it's about different experiences. And I can remember you telling me that when you first found out as a child, you were almost made to feel kind of unique and almost special at your primary school. But once you got to secondary school, it was a different kind of picture, and that's when it then became something that caused you to lose confidence. But you know now you have your qualifications, you're doing a job that involves an awful lot of reading and writing, so you have clearly got that baby sorted. How did you manage to do that? How did you cope with it, and what did you put in place? Just some advice for perhaps some of our other youngsters who worry about that, to help them know that it's not going to get in their way, and it's something that they can go on and master.
so I probably just preface I know dyslexia comes in many different forms and it affects people very differently. So mine is spelling. I struggle very much with spelling and reading. I can read, it's just very slowly. Um, but it has a tendency of that if I get worried and I speed up, I only ever look at the first and last letter and guess all the letters in between. So if there are if there are like words that are the same length with the same start and end, they could potentially be wrong. I also get my like letters mixed up. So obviously like bridge, really struggle to spell bridge, and anything with a DGH in it. But it's practice, I would say. I It's a lot easier for me to spell words that I spell on a regular basis. So like liability, had no idea how to spell that when I first started, but because I spell that on a regular basis, I now know how to spell it. So it is very much practice. Um, Again, reading, I just take my time. I don't pressure myself to read something so fast because otherwise I will make mistakes. Um, Writing, it's now quite easy that Word has spell check. So I do use Word, and I use Google as well. I mean, if I'm thinking that I'm spelling the word wrong and I don't have a spell check, I'll just pop it in Google, or I'll ask one of my teammates. Like I'll ask Tony or Judith, and they'll help me. They don't look down on me for my dyslexia. They know that I can't spell very well, so they'll just help me out and tell me if I'm saying it wrong, especially with accept and like accept and accept, like them two.
Don't we all get that wrong?
I just can't even get that over. So I have to make sure I get the same definition. And if I'm doing an important email, I'll ask Tony to read through it and say that, does this make sense? Is everything spelt okay? How is my grammar and things like that? I'm okay with grammar, but it I do just ask for someone to read through it just to make my conscience a little bit better. But it is practice, and unfortunately, it's not easy compared to the neurotypical people, but it is something that you can work with and you can live with. It's not the end all and be all if you are dyslexic. It's just very much practice. I still spell because as because and beautiful as beautiful. So it's whatever works for you. I mean, it may sound weird, but it's whatever you do that works for you, because you can just say it in your head at the end of the day. So
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. I'm really sorry. We looks like we've run out of time. So I'd like to say many thanks for coming on and joining us today and sharing your experiences.
that's fine.
That's super. Thank you so much for coming. That's really good. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Super. So that was Chey. Sorry we had to end it so quickly because I could have chatted to Chey for much longer, but it just shows that routes into careers don't have to be the straightforward one. And experiences you have along the way, like in Chey's case, being able to actually do another course in performing arts and media, and also the resilience that doing a hospitality course has actually brought her has become incredibly useful for her current career. And I'd also say that the performing arts has also done very well because she's recently spoken to a school with a large number of year 10 and year 11 students. There must have been 200 odd of them in there, and Chey stood up and talked about her career experiences to date in front of a big audience. So well done for that. So I'd just like to say thank you again to Chey. It shows what resilience and hard work can do, and don't worry if you don't know what you want to do. Just keep asking, and Chey's in the wonderful position now. She's working with a great company with a great team who are really supportive and recognise her talents for what she is. So next week, our show again is next Wednesday, and we're going to have Kaylee on, and she's going to be talking to a guest about careers in civil engineering. So thank you for joining. Cheerio.